Absolutely. And I think you saw that borne out in Dick Durbin's comments and comments that I've been seeing from Democrats and other members of Congress throughout. I mean, he really does hail from that old school Senate collegiality, despite political and ideological differences that we don't see too much of today. And that's an understatement. But since we're talking about the Senate, let's get into these midterms. So the magic number for the House for the majority is 218, and Republicans now hold a slim majority, which is 218 today. In the Senate, Republicans hold 52 to 48 majority. The GOP very threatened in both chambers. In a recent New York Times feature, every major pollster that they talk to is anticipating a House takeover, but by another slim margin. And the Republicans are holding on, in their estimation, to the Senate, or there being an even split, by which Vice President Vance would have to come in more times than not to break ties. Jim, I keep hearing about a blue wave and a GOP crack up before the midterms. What are you seeing out there?
Well, it's sort of an interesting dynamic. And so this midterm election campaign is, usually when you have a wave election, a blue wave or a red wave, it's a combination of the national climate moves very much against the party in power, but also they're particularly exposed in a number of seats. So there are a number of competitive districts or easy picking. There may be some of the Senate races don't favor the party in power, and it's usually the combination of those two things that creates a wave. So right now we definitely have a national political climate that's very bad for Republicans, but they may not be quite as exposed at the congressional district level. And a lot of the Senate races that are in play this year are in purple to red states. So that's going to be the real challenge. And Republicans, through redistricting, have tried to sort of cement this number. So in the last blue wave in 2018, when Democrats picked up 40 House seats, Republicans represented a couple of dozen congressional districts that had been won by Hillary Clinton in 2016. And of course, they took a bath in those districts in November. They got blown out. But this time around, they're only holding like 2 or 3 seats that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. So the majority, because of gerrymandering, because people have a tendency to move into places with politically like-minded neighbors, and because of how the districts have drawn, and because of all of these past wave elections that have knocked out all of the Democrats in conservative districts and all of the Republicans in moderate to liberal districts, there just isn't as much low-hanging fruit anymore. And so what I thought before Iran was that the likeliest outcome in this year's election was something like 2022, but bluer. So you remember Republicans all year long, we were talking about the red wave. National climate was very bad for Democrats. Looked like Republicans were going to win big. And then they did enough to win the House because the Democratic majority wasn't very big. But it really wasn't a wave, and they actually lost a seat in the Senate, and so it was a little disappointing. I thought that was probably what was going to happen for Democrats this year. It's good. Their numbers are going to look great all year. Republicans' numbers are going to look terrible. And they probably do win the House simply because the Republican majority is just so small, and the electorate has moved enough in their favor from 2024. But the win would be underwhelming. I do think with Iran and with the resumption of inflation that we've seen since the Strait of Hormuz problem that the Iran war caused and exacerbated, I do think that opens it up for potentially bigger Democratic wins. But that's really the name of the game. Can Republicans beat a bad national climate with a favorable map?